Today on Crazed Performance Repair, we are going to go ahead and replace a oil pump sump O-ring on a GM LS based truck. So stay tuned and we will get covered on this job. Alright, let's get started with the video. We are going to go way back in time to about 7-8 months ago when I didn't have a 4K camera first off, and I was actually doing a timing chain job. But I have taken and snipped down a bunch of parts of the clip in order to turn it into a oil pump, oil pan type job as far as you guys are concerned, so you can figure out how to pull the oil pump on your vehicle. Now, I don't have an oil pump specific video yet. I haven't had one in quite some time. I haven't had one of those jobs for some reason where I actually had to pull the oil pump, or oil pan I should say, and so that's why I'm just going to go ahead and bring this video around. I was hoping I would come to another vehicle that I could just go ahead and make a new video for specifically pulling the oil pan. I just haven't had that job come up yet, so let's go ahead and get started with the video. Let's go ahead, let's get that oil pan off. We'll get underneath and I'll show you guys how we go about taking that oil pan off. We have to take the oil pan off to get this pump out of here. There is a sump that gets bolted on from down here. One of the bolts would go right here if you had the support bracket that's available on performance shops. It's like a little billet bracket for performance cars to keep this thing from flexing down. It is available and can be put on. Perhaps I'll try and find a link for one. Otherwise, there's a bolt down here that's impossible pretty much to get at. I mean, you can get the bolt without pulling the pan, but the problem is if you get the bolt, you can't get this out of the pump. It just doesn't happen. So we're going to go ahead and get the pan off and then start working on the sump. So I'm willing to bet you can guess where I am at right now. You can see this is the front bumper. That's part of the frame. We have some other stuff up above here, the engine, etc. The reason I'm bringing this video to a conversation point, I'm actually going to be pulling the pan here, but what I want to do is explain what exactly I'm doing while the pan is being pulled in this little thing below here. One of the first things I'm going to be doing here is pulling these bolts out. Now this piece here is a piece of the frame member, and this frame member can come down, and that's so that the pan can be removed. But the pan can't be removed on a four-wheel drive unit with an axle here until you take this axle and drop it down. There's a couple of bolts up here. Those are going to have to be removed, along with some stuff over on this side here that has to be removed. Then we have the oil transmission cooler lines here. Those transmission cooler lines also have to be unbolted from the pan. And then there's some plastic and whatnot for around the starter area. On the other side where the starter isn't, there's also a piece of plastic, and all that stuff has to be removed in order to get the pan down. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking all that stuff out of the way and then pulling the pan down. That way I can get the oil pump out, and once the oil pump's out, then I can go ahead and do the timing chain. Alright, there's a suspension bolt here I'm going to drop down to make more room for the axle. Other than that, everything else is going as planned. Okay, one thing I forgot, I think I'm going to have to pull the rack and pinion down on this thing in order to get it to clear because of the power steering lines. I totally forgot. Okay, so there's definitely a couple things I forgot about since the last time I pulled one of these pans. I mentioned this bolt over here to drop the axle down. I probably didn't need to remove that. That's for the shock absorber. The better option would be to take these out because this does have to come down even further yet. Unfortunately, I didn't take these bolts out, but they're not hard. It's 15 mil. I use a swivel socket and I rotate this and take them out with a nice long extension. I'll do that in a second. Another thing I noticed was the rack and pinion here. I totally forgot that there's a power steering line in the way, so you just pull the 4 bolts out and it drops down far enough to give you plenty of room to work with. But right now the thing that's stopping me is definitely this axle. So I'm going to go ahead and zip these bolts out and then I will finish getting this thing out of here. So we have the pan down. I'm actually quite surprised at what I am seeing. If you notice, there is almost no sludge in there. Very, very little. It's a super thin layer kind of coating everything, but it's not much at all. I expect it to be a lot worse. In fact, even look over here. There's almost nothing right there. So I am very, very surprised at seeing that, considering how filthy this motor was. Normally, oh, here's a... Well, what is that? It's like plastic? I don't know what that is. It's hard. Oh yeah, it's like a plastic type material. Weird. So there's that in there. But otherwise, it's surprisingly clean compared to what I expected. So that's actually a positive. That means this motor is most likely salvageable and not going to be an issue. A couple things I wanted to point out. If you look right here, you see this? That's a rivet. These oil pan gaskets are actually riveted on, which is not a big deal. All you have to do is hit a drill bit on there a little bit, and then that rivet will come right off. And there's usually two... Oh, here we go. You can see this one's actually broken already, so that's not a big deal. And then you replace this gasket, and you don't have to rivet the new gasket on. That's unnecessary. When you slide a couple bolts through, this rubber part of the gasket here will actually hold that bolt in the place on the pan, so it's really not a big deal to get back up in there. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look underneath. Okay, so we are underneath. You can see there is a bit of garbage on the tube there. So the sump tube definitely has some crap on it, but it's not horrible. Again, it's not the worst thing in the world. So if you look over here, you can actually see that there's a valley pan here, or cover. It's like a windage tray type of thing. And then if we look over here, we can see there's a nut holding the tube on there, and then this bracket goes down and there's a nut there, so we'll be taking those off. And then if you look right here, you can see the nut or bolt holding that tube on there. Now we're definitely going to be replacing that O-ring. It's a very common failure item. See you in a second. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing buttoned back up. You can see I'm going ahead and throwing this thing back together. So obviously I got to basically do the reverse order as far as putting it back together as I did taking it apart. There are a few steps that are going to change just because of the timing cover factor and the fact that this was originally a timing chain video. So you'll notice that I don't have anything on the front of the motor in this video, but in order to do just the oil sump O-ring, you would have had to pull the pump, and you also would have just pulled the tube down. But I did show the pump in this video clip simply in case you wanted to pull the pump. Of course, pulling the timing cover off does require more than what I have shown in this video. I did skip out on that part of it. Hopefully you like this video. So if you did, be sure to hit the like button, like, share, subscribe, and leave me some feedback. I love to have feedback. I want to hear down in the comments below what you would like to see as far as timing cover, oil pump, that kind of job, what you want to actually see for videos to come out. Because the next one of these jobs I get in, I will be sure to concentrate on getting the most requested videos out there as far as how to do what job and make it more efficient. I'd like to do some efficiency videos to make you guys able to take apart your vehicle or your customer's vehicle faster, better, a little more efficiently, and be able to save you a little bit of time, and for the ones doing it at home, save you guys some money from bringing it to the shop. So hopefully I will see you on the next video. Thanks for joining me on this one.